Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're looking at the Samsung Galaxy Nexus for the third time. We looked at the unlocked GSM version at the end of 2011, then we looked at the Verizon version then too, and now we've got it available on Sprint with LTE, and we're going to see how it stacks up now. So this is the Samsung Galaxy Nexus yet again, this time on Sprint, and you can see here it's your genuine Galaxy Nexus looking phone, but it says Sprint right there. Otherwise, this looks pretty much identical to the GSM version and the Verizon versions that have been out for quite some time now. What's special about this phone? It runs vanilla Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich. There's no customization by the manufacturer, there's no carrier bloatware, nothing here, you just get straight Android. So for those of you who are enthusiasts or prefer to load your own launchers and ROMs and other customizations, that's a great thing because it's pretty much a clean slate that you're starting with. If you're a Sprint customer who's used to Sprint's customizations of phones, their Sprint ID stuff, a lot of value-added apps like Sprint TV, NASCAR, all that kind of thing, you won't find it here. In fact, the only Sprint app we could download was NBA for Sprint, and it actually doesn't work. Once you download it, it says, this isn't a Sprint phone. Please download the non-Sprint phone version, but guess what? That does not exist just yet. Maybe it's coming soon. You can, however, download Telenav Navigator if you want, which is the same thing as Sprint Navigation. But of course, you have all the standard Google applications on here, including Google Maps, Google Navigation, Google Places, all things Google location based. You also have NFC on here, and as you can see, we've got a little folder just for all of our Google applications that comes pre-created on the phone. And we've got Google Wallet here to work with NFC. So while NFC has been on several phones so far, not so many of them actually work with Google Wallet, but this one does. For those of you who want to pay for your Starbucks coffee or what have you using your phone. And as you can see here, we have the Google Play Store, we've got Google Plus preloaded, of course all the PIM applications, Gmail, email, Google Talk, which does video chat and regular text-based chat, all that stuff's here. Since this is running vanilla Android ice cream sandwich, and since again really that's the big point of the phone, this is not the world's most cutting-edge piece of hardware here, you can see this interface is very clean. We've actually put our own Mass Effect wallpaper on here because one thing, if you get vanilla Android, boy, you get the most boring and glum set of wallpapers I've ever seen. I mean, folks at Google must be a little aesthetically challenged in that department. And nothing really showed off the nice high contrast, very colorful Super AMOLED HD display, which this has. The hardware has not changed from the previous Nexus phones. Pretty much this is closest to the Verizon version since this has a CDMA radio, since Sprint and Verizon use CDMA instead of GSM networks. But other than that, you've got that same 720p display. That's 1280 by 720 pixels. It is Super AMOLED, which means it's a pentile matrix display. It has fewer subpixels. That bothers some people. I really, with my naked eye, can't see those pixels too much. But some of you do care about that kind of thing. It's certainly high enough resolution, and because it is Super AMOLED, you get really high contrast, very deep blacks particularly, you'll notice. And there's also something of a blue tint to the whites. If you're reading ebooks, you'll notice that, or browsing web pages that are primarily white background, and that I do find a little bit annoying, and personally I would use a gamma adjustment application. That's what I do in my Samsung Galaxy Skyrocket, in fact, to get rid of some of those bluish whites. The phone runs on a TI OMAP 4 1.2 GHz dual-core processor. Again, the same stuff we've seen on the Nexus. And it's pretty good performance. You get close to 2,000 on Quadrant, which is not really a whole lot to write home on, and about 28 FIPS on OpenGL Benchmark's Egypt off-screen test. It's certainly adequate enough to run on the phone, and it's been a standard platform for when Google first released Ice Cream Sandwich, so apparently it's pretty easy to get it running on this CPU compared to some others. That's why we saw so many phones come out with this particular CPU. The phone does feel fast. Honestly, it's thanks to the fact that there's no software overlays, nothing going on here. Everything zips by. You can launch your applications and scroll nice and quickly. So we're not talking laggy here or anything like that, and that's a thoroughly modern processor. It's certainly good enough. The phone has 1 gig of RAM, and it does not have expandable storage, no micro SD card slot. That's the thing with Nexus phones, they just don't. But it does have 32 gigs of storage, so that's a pretty ample amount to give you plenty of room to put stuff on. Again, because this is basic clean Android, there's no value-added apps here. There's no MS Office Suite. Again, there's no Sprint applications pre-installed on here. No extra media players. You're just looking at plain Android. Now, there's plenty of apps you can download from the market if you want to play various different video formats, that kind of thing. So it's not like you can't do anything with this phone because of it. It's just up to you to find the stuff that you want and to download it. You can pick your own Office suite, There are free ones that act as viewers for MS Office files, and there are ones that you pay for, typically around $20, $25 if you actually want to be able to edit and create MS Office documents as well. Of course, Adobe Readers are free download on the Google Play Store as well. And you can download Facebook and Twitter. Guess what? They are not pre-installed here either. So the phone has Android ice cream sandwiches, very minimalistic dialer here. It's certainly large and easy to use. This is a 4.65-inch display, so everything is living large here. Easy to get to your buttons. There's your call. You can search, and then we've got tabs here. You can get to your recent calls up top, and then to your contacts in the far right tab. Call quality on this phone is good. It's one of the better phones that we've heard on Sprint lately. Pretty clear, a little teeny bit of indistinctness to voice, but really no problem understanding people or being understood. In terms of data speeds, well, things aren't as exciting there. You can see our speed test results here. We have moderate Sprint reception here. And this has EVDO Rev A 3G only for now. Now, it does have an LTE radio, but Sprint doesn't actually have LTE up and running yet. They will have it in 6 cities sometime in the middle of this year. Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Kansas City, and Baltimore are on the list. And, of course, they'll be rolling out to further markets. But until then, we're looking at some of the sadder data speeds you're going to see on a major carrier right now. Now, you may have better coverage or better data throughput in your area, and maybe you'll see something like 700K for download, something like that. But you get the idea. You're going to be relying on Wi-Fi a lot. If you're going to download a lot of stuff from the Android market, if you want to stream video, you're going to need Wi-Fi. Now, once Sprint's LTE network is active, if it comes to your city, certainly things will be looking much better. We know LTE is capable of very fast speeds, and on Verizon, even with a lot of users on LTE now, we still typically see about 15 megabit per second downloads and about 8 to 9 up. And on AT&T's network, where I think the adoption hasn't been as widespread yet, we're still seeing crazy things like 30 megabit down and 18 to 20 up. So here's to looking forward to good times on Sprint. And in the meantime, Wi-Fi is your friend, and this has dual band Wi-Fi 802.11 BG, and dual band's pretty unusual on a phone. And Wi-Fi reception is moderate. It's not super duper strong. It's not problematic either. You can see we got about a half signal here. I would have expected to see a little bit more like 2/3 or 3/4, but still, speeds are good, behaves well, reliable, doesn't drop the connection. Our phone is running Android OS 4.04. It just got an update over the air, so we're at 4.04. And data has been reliable for us. I know some people are having some problems with their Nexus on Sprint, dropping data connections after falling asleep or just not provisioning correctly, but this phone's working perfectly, and no problems at all with the data connection, other than the fact that it's just not super duper fast. Phone also has the usual GPS built in with a GPS assistant. Again, that works with Google Maps. You can download Telenav and use the free version, or upgrade to the paid version if you want, but the free version is there to give you some basic stuff as well. And we have Bluetooth 3.0 in the phone. There's a front 1.3 megapixel camera, and on the back we have a 5 megapixel camera with LED flash. Now that's not a super high megapixel rating, and the camera has been something of a disappointment other than the new camera software for ICS that's much quicker, so it's very quick to take a shot. And the phone does have a few tricks, like you can shoot panorama mode. Photos are okay with this. It is a 5 megapixel camera again, so it's not going to beat the pants off of the top 8 megapixel cameras that are available on the market right now. But it takes pleasing shots with reasonably good color saturation, balance, contrast, that kind of thing. So I'm not going to complain too much about that. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Nexus, we'll take a quick look around. This is a little dock connector here for desktop cradle kind of deal. It's your power button. Samsung always likes to put that on the upper right-hand side. Up top we have a whole lot of nothing going on. This is just where you pull the back off. It has a thin plastic back you can pull off to get to the 1830 milliamp battery. Volume rocker on this side. Micro USB port and your 3.5 millimeter headset jack back here. And that is your speaker. The Sprint version of the Galaxy Nexus is $199 on contract and $549 without a contract extension. And it compares favorably to Sprint's other LTE phone. This is the LG Viper, also an Android phone with an LTE radio, smaller display size, definitely chunkier looking phone. You see the difference in thickness there. So Samsung gets points for elegance, attractive design, nice curve going on here, that kind of thing. The Viper is just a kind of little, well, looking like that 90s phone in comparison. Battery life so far has been pretty decent on the phone. I mean, we don't have LTE active here, so there's really nothing to drain the battery unduly. We had no trouble making it through the day with this phone, which is certainly an improvement over the Verizon version, because that one does have LTE, and LTE is power hungry. Of course, you get a lot of nice fast data for that, but that is what it is. Of course, this has a user replaceable battery, so you can buy a spare and swap it in if you need to. The phone comes with the usual Android web browser, and you can download Adobe Flash, and as we've shown you on the other Galaxy Nexus phones, it handles Adobe Flash just fine. It can play 1080p video. You can even output to a TV if you get the optional MHL adapter that plugs into the micro USB port. It's also up to the task of gaming. Honestly, pretty much every modern phone is. You don't need a quad-core Tegra 3 or something like that, or the latest Qualcomm Crate CPU. Games are really pretty well optimized for the existing processors that are out there, so this guy games just fine. And the nice high contrast color popping thing that you've got going on here is pretty nice for gaming with the display as well. So that's the Samsung Galaxy Nexus for Sprint. This is a phone I would definitely recommend to Android enthusiasts. Those of you who just want to start out with the latest, greatest version of the Google operating system, look forward to, in general speaking, timely updates for new operating systems, no waiting a half a year or something like that to get a major OS update. And it's good for those of you who like to tinker and who know exactly how you like to customize your phone and what apps you want. For those of you who are kind of more newbies on the Android block or with smartphones in general, this one might be a little bit more of a challenge because, well, you don't get an Office suite, you don't get those multimedia apps or all the Sprint applications, that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for something that has a lot going for it to start with, like Facebook and Twitter apps and stuff like that preloaded, you might want to look at a different Android phone. But then again, if you're willing to learn and you do want to tinker, nothing wrong with the Samsung Galaxy Nexus. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.